Do we have anybody online? Is anybody online? Someone, okay. Okay. All right, good morning, professors in the house, doctors and colleagues. My name is Oluwasanmi, a doctoral student at Durban University of Technology, South Africa. I'm co-chairing this session with my Oga, who is unavoidably absent this morning. He has been chairing since we started, but today he's busy, so he asked me to coordinate for him. So please, I'm going to invite the panelists that we have this morning, and please, we have 3 of them, and we look forward to an engaging moment. Please, let's take notes of all the questions that we have for each of them as they are presenting. And with the caliber of people I'm seeing in the room this morning, I believe that we are going to have a very thorough moment, please. So let's take note of all the questions or the contribution that we have so that we can have a robust, like I said, we have 3 presentations. That means that we are going to have a lot of time to discuss and give feedback. So I welcome everyone. Yes. Yes, we are. We are well. Thank you. But since we have 3 presenters, I was still going to. Okay. Yeah.
And 10 minutes.
Ma? Okay, ma. Okay, for discussion. All right, thank you. Thank you. So, all right, so I want to invite panelists we have here this morning. And we have Sunday Philip Akingbemisola from Florida International University is presenting on the role of gender in migration experience. Then I think he's online. Sunday, can you hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, thank you. Then we have Modupe Animasha from University of Ibadan presenting on navigating identities, illicit sexuality, migration, and production of violence in Kake, Nigerian Benin Republic border community. So you are welcome, Dr. Dupe. Please come to the front. Then we have Olayinka M. Balogun from Adekunle Ajasi University. Are you there? And Olayinka M. Balogun. It's online, okay. Olayinka M. Balogun, can you hear? Is it? Okay, maybe we join us because of it. All right, so it's to present on the child migration experience in Elon Avila Travelers. Avila's Traveler. So I believe he's going to join us as we progress. So the first person is Sunday Philip Akingbemisola. Sunday Philip, you have 10 minutes to present. And if you are ready, your time will start now. Thank you. Sorry, can you, okay. If you can hear us, Sunday, you can go ahead.
Yes. Thank you so much. Sorry, please, I would like to confirm if you all can hear me.
Can hear you.
Thank you so much, everyone. Good morning here. It's past midnight at my end. Without further ado, I go straight to my presentation. So the topic I'll be presenting on is in the role of gender in migration experiences. I have my abstract where I mention that gender has a significant influence on migration experiences, and it also encompasses the motives behind why both male and female migrate, and the reasons why women tend to migrate, coupled with reasons why men also migrate.
Can you speak
And
up, please? Increase your
okay,
volume.
sorry. Okay, I said that, okay, no problem. Sorry about that. So I said migration is synonymous to movement. When people get to move from one place, from source to the destination, it should be termed as migration. And as a result of that, it makes it a global phenomenon because people tend to migrate for several reasons, and such as in pursuit for economic opportunities, probably as a result of political asylum, or with need for them to reunite with their family members. Then the intention behind decision to migrate goes beyond personal preferences as it is established in gender-based experiences, expectations. Reasons why people migrate is on the basis, okay, as a male, as a female, there are expectations on me that I need to fulfill. These are some of the reasons why people tend to migrate. Then I said gender also plays a significant role in decision-making processes in the circumstances surrounding migration and how people tend to integrate into their host communities after they must have moved from their source destination. And I said the primary motivation for many men is because of the viable economic opportunities and to improve their earning power by virtue of being gainfully employed. Then there's also a societal expectation on men, and when people see men as the breadwinner of the family. So as a result of that, they tend to migrate for the purpose of being the primary income earner in the family. Then women, majorly, they dominate the care and domestic sectors globally. Then I also talked about the experiences of gender in migration. So this is being explained using three stages. We have the pre-migration phase, whereby men tend to migrate in search of economic opportunities, while women, the reason why women migrate could be as a result of escaping gender-based violences and also and to gain access to qualitative
Zineto. On your side.
why why men tend to get jobs in industries like the construction sector, agricultural sector, making them prone to exploitation of all kinds. Then as a result of the ability for women saddled with the responsibility of childcare, they are bound to their homes, whereby men they bear the brunt of financial responsibilities for the family they left behind at the source. Then the post-migration stage talks about after you must the reason for your migration, how you tend to integrate into your host communities. This is most times, most people, both genders are faced with difficulties. Some could be as a result of language barrier, unhindered access to educational opportunities, and gender norms. Coupled with men, there's also a struggle for men to balance up the traditional notions of masculinity in their new realities. Then I also talked about the gender and investigation in host nation after people must have moved from their destination to host nation. Integration is also associated with migrant acculturation, how they adapt into their host societies. Economically, there is this confinement of women after they must have migrated when they try to settle into their host nation. Most times they don't find it easy that way. At first, they tend to settle for domestic works, while for men, in most cases, they tend to have it somehow easy within the formal sectors like the construction sectors. Then socially, it is known that women also build informal relationships, while men, they only focus on the established networks they must have built, focus on just to help them get a better job opportunities. So culturally, there's this struggle for women to reconcile their gender norms coupled with their new environment and their cultural heritage, what they hold as a prestige to them in their homes and in their destination, in their country where they're coming from. There's this struggle for them to tend to leave it behind, but rather so that's what we have there. Then we talk about it legally. There are also regulations regarding women migrants, which entail protection against gender-based violence. So women tend to migrate in order to escape gender-based violence, according to Friedman. Then in terms of remittances, so both male and female, both men and women rather, they tend to send remittances home. The allocation of remittances sent by women is they spend it on household. They cover the household expenses, educational needs, and healthcare services. As a result of that, which tend to improve the human capital development. Why for men? The remittance are made after they must have made that money in the host nations. They send that money home just to build infrastructure for them and to invest after they have invested, because they know that by virtue of investing in a particular sector, it could fetch them much more money, coupled with the role they play as head of the family and economic resources. Then implication of gender in transformational families, in transnational, sorry about that, the mistakes. So women in transnational relationship, they show that there's this so much pressure on women as a result of the emotional labor when they tend to at least grapple with the effect of child caregiving, taking care of the children, and also contributing economically to their host nations. Then technology has also played a good role when, especially when women use it as an opportunity to engage in caregiving relationships, while men they use it for strategic and financial reasons. And as a result of the business for men, the transnational migration, which is migration across places, when they move from one country to another country, they use it at the same time. There's this pressure also on men too, as they have to fulfill their financial obligations, which may result in feeling of detachment. They get detached when they get to their host nation. So because of the pressure on them to want to start sending money because of the family member they left behind, there's this pressure on them to start sending money. As a result of that, they get detached from their family life. Then I situate this work within
We
the
have 2 more minutes.
of intersectionality.
2 more minutes.
Okay, okay, sir. By Kelly Crenshaw, where she talked about the diverse identities of gender and race, where there is this overlapping between gender and race, especially how it impacts the experiences of people in form of oppression and intersectionality. Then we have the problems. There are so many problems that arises as a result of gender in migration experience. We have the gender-based violence, the policies not favoring women, and also women and men experiencing discrimination when it comes to job. And the social and cultural isolation, there's also this discrimination when it comes to, as a result of their status, they are being discriminated. So we have the solutions. Policies should be formulated at addressing concerns of women and girls as related to gender-based violence, both at the source and destination. Immigration law to also cater for the needs of domestic workers and also help to achieve feminization of migration. Opportunities should be made for both men and women. It should be equitable for men and women, as this will reduce unfair treatment to them. And vocational training should also be made compulsory for both men and women, as this will also equip them sufficiently to be independent. The conclusion, gender significantly shapes migration experiences. Women and men face distinct challenges and opportunities. Gender-sensitive policies are essential for equitable migration experiences. Addressing gender issues can enhance social inclusion. Recommendations. Gender-based violence against migrants should be penalized. Women should be granted full autonomy and decision-making power. Then gender norms should be, there should be creation of awareness in order to challenge gender norms. Further research should be conducted. So family reunification should also be supported through visa approvals, not just to approve the visa for the man, you leave the woman behind, or vice versa. So there should be an equitable visa approval for both male and female, as well as formulation of policies that will further support migration for both gender. Thank you so much for your attention.
All right, thank you. You'll be on the standby. When we finish the session, we are going to, the questions will be coming to you. All right. Next, we move to the second speaker, who is okay, Dr. Modupe Animasha from University of Ibadan. You have the floor.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Modupe from University of Ibadan. The title I have now is different from what you have in the book. So now it is Navigating Identities. Can you hear me clearly? Navigating Identities, Illicit Sexuality, Migration and Violence along Nigeria-Benin Republic border corridor. This research is a small portion of my PhD thesis, where I worked on partial sex workers and gender-based violence in along the Nigerian-Benin border corridor. So as we went to the field, as I went to the field, I realized that issues of identities form a large portion of how sex workers are viewed, and also extend to how the kind of violences that they are exposed to. And so we decided to begin to think of how the different forms of identities that sex workers embody at the border community that are quite distinct from what you have in other places. So as a way of an overview, I would like us to understand these major points. Commercial sex workers as a significant part of the Nigerian ecosystem. They've been in existence from pre-colonial, colonial, it has been established in various literature. So they are a regular part of our everyday experience or everyday reality in Nigeria. They straddle various roles and identity. Unlike the identity of deviants of a criminalized category that is popularly known with sex workers, they have other identities as mothers, as friends, as nationals, as members of ethnic group. And in addition to the identity of the criminalized category or deviant persons, they also straddle these roles and identities side by side. Sex work is not monotonous. My work argues that spatiality, that space and other factors affect how it operates, meaning that sex workers in the border community where I work and sex workers in Lagos, for example, may have different ways that they operate, and therefore different identities that comes with the space that they operate. So these are my major arguments. The first is that sex workers are not only victims. Yes, they are victims, but in addition to them being victims, they are also entrepreneurs, for example. No, I'm still on overview. So they are not only victims, they are also entrepreneurs. They are also people who engage with the ecosystem wherein they find themselves, particularly at the border communities that I work in. So I take up other additional meanings, burdens, violence, disposition, that produce a unique form of sex work activities. As a way of introduction, very briefly, sex workers are victims of violence. More than 50 to 100% of sex workers have experienced one form of violence or another. And it is how they are able to navigate or express their agency as sex workers, because they do have agency. Little is known on how national policies and contestation impact on commercial sex workers, especially those at the national or migratory space. My work argues that the national policies in the country impacts on how sex workers work, especially in transnational spaces where that is a contiguous, meaning you have Nigeria, you have Benin Republic. So how do this national policies, how does it affect the marginalized or stigmatized categories that sex workers embody? So the aim of this work is to explore how sex workers navigate various layers of identities that are constructed by the nature of the border space, and the production and navigation of the violence in the process. I have two research questions. The first one is, what are the interpretation of belonging and exclusion? How do they understand where they belong or how they are excluded? And why navigating the ability of identity performance at the border? The second question is, how do sex workers at the border reconstruct and explore identities to negotiate or justify violence at the border? Now, in order to answer this question, in order to understand the peculiarity of sex work at the border, this paper benefited from three concepts. The first one is the bordered identity. These are concepts, not theories. This concept helps us to understand the dynamics of the border. So I interrogated border identity, border consciousness, and precarious intimacy. So what border identity basically says is that the border adds an additional layer of identity to every phenomenon that occurs within the border space. So not just sex work, even parenting, even commerce, even business, entrepreneurship, and security. All these are performed differently compared to other space. So there is a bordered identity that is from a result of the environment, the feature of the character, the material environment that each border imputes on phenomena in the space. Then border consciousness talks about how opportunities are limited and unlimited at the same time. So and also a re-understanding, a redefinition rather, of what opportunities mean. So for example, in Benin Republic, you find that in Shaki and Seme and Duroko that I work in, you find that people think of opportunity differently from how we think of opportunity. So all the illicit or the economic activities that are categorized as illicit in Nigeria are seen as a resource control, as an opportunity in the border community. So this author, Gloria Azadwa, is saying that opportunities take up a different meaning that does not necessarily conform to normative ideas or meaning that the other communities impose on it. So precarious intimacy talks about sex workers as illicit actors and also as people who are violent actors, and partners to illicit actors within the border community. So these three concepts help to understand the dynamics of SEM and Trake. And all right, so I have to so I'll skip this. This is just something to explain, to try to introduce these communities to my reader. So methodology is qualitative, exploratory, making use of non-participant observation, key informant, and in-depth. Semi-Krake are two contiguous communities along the Benin Republic. Also,
Fatima, mute your mic,
and
please.
they were purposely selected because of the significance of these border communities to my study and how popular and dynamic these border communities are. So I would move straight to my findings. So my paper found three major ways identities are navigated and explored by sex workers. The first one is the national identity disjunctions, ethnic, cultural, and linguistic identities, and the indigenous versus non-indigenous identities, which are also referred to as the insider and outsider dichotomies. I'll move as fast as I can.
Take your time a bit. Take your time a bit.
All right. National identity. So this part of the work, I'm looking at how the national. I've moved to the next slide. I'm looking at how the national belonging, how sex workers belonging to a particular national affect their identities and their exposure to violence. So national identities, national politics, contestations are magnified and downplayed at the same time at the border. And this is the decision to downplay or to align or rebuff is based on which identity or which alignment they consider to be important to them, to their security per time. You find that sex workers inherit stereotypes and ability, meaning that the idea or the image of Nigeria in Benin in border community, sex workers inherit it. So if there are contentions between Benin Republic and Nigeria, you find that there's some level of hostility that is imputed on commercial sex workers. Now this is more of a survival strategy, a way to garner solidarity, association, and support for an activity that already suffers isolation within a liminal space. I also state here that it is not an expression of powerlessness. Their ability to pick, to decide to say, I'm a Nigerian today, and tomorrow to downplay their Nigerianness, it actually shows that they are not victims in that sense. they have their agency and they're able to decide on which identity to exhibit. I have excerpts here, but because of time, I will skip it and move on to the second finding. The second has to do with ethnic, cultural, and linguistic identities at the border. So, but the border is a mobile and migratory space. You find that a lot of sex workers were invited or initiated to come into to sex work and practice in the border from a family member, from a sister, or it may not be biological sister, but somebody that is from the ethnic group. So you find that the affiliation at this point shifts from the national identity or national affiliation to a much deeper or a much deeper association, a sisterhood or a bloodline that they consider deeper than the national identity or affiliation that they have from as Nigerians. Also, the border has different languages. So when you can understand each other, there's also more affinity and more closeness. Of Benin Republic feel that sex work is just one of the many illicit activities that occurs within the border. And so it is like a resource control, and it is okay for them to, to engage in this. So there is this, so sex can change. It can alternate from being good and bad depending on this dynamics. So I would like to read this one, this excerpt. It is different. This person was actually, this person is from
which the children's experiences.
Professor, please. Okay, I think we should take him. Okay, go on, sir.
Inside, do you have as a researcher yourself?
Take the question all over again, sir, because the network went off.
Oh, so I was saying, I think it's potential. I'm going to tell us or on the full paper, but you can foreground ways the
Prof, your voice is breaking. Maybe you can type the question. If you can type it, the network is breaking. We cannot hear.
Being
non-immigration.
Okay, let me put in a message.
All right, thank you, sir.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Then Professor Professor Sharon, please. Okay, she has
the internet.
Okay, on the internet. Okay. Oh, this is Professor Sharon now. Professor Sharon, please go ahead. Is she unmuted? Because she's not showing on the dashboard. Okay. Yeah, Prof, please go on.
Okay. Can you hear me? Thank you very much.
Yes, ma'am.
I want to thank all the presenters presentation. And I am just curious about issues of identities and what are the implications of the identity that you have been able to, are they those that are imposed on the people and what is the implication of that to the livelihood and then to the I also wanted to study on child migrants, and I think this is an area that connects with the concept of detrimental agency for children. Are children supposed to have agency? And now that agency they do with asking about interventions that come from study is like I mean, you brought this out from fictions or from text, as the case may be, not necessarily fictions, because you told us that somebody was coming to writing. But are there interventions, and are there some of these things to address the challenges that these children face and to create awareness about some of these
Prof, if you can hear me, please can you type your question because the network is breaking.
Okay, I'll do just that.
All right, thank you, ma. All right, Dr. Mayowa.
You need to enable chat. Enable chat.
Anyone, Abi? Which one are you using? You can use the chat. Okay.
Okay, thank you. I have
Q&A.
I have it.
I think somebody
That's okay.
already asked question. Okay, sir. Go ahead. Is it?
On the issue of illegal sexuality and migration and sex work. So I will ask the question with regards to the choice of illicit sexuality and sex, commercial sex. Now, when you have illicit, something that is illicit, and we describe it as work, commercial sex work. That's just our position. I really want to understand it. What question is illicit and something is bad as whether as work. So does it give some form of advocacy to the what we can call the negative word of prostitution? Does it give some form of advocacy to prostitution? That's why we have it as illicit in the husband. I also describe it as well. Then I did ask that if we have that are involved in such work, such commercial, and there's this constant issue of balance which you describe in the work. What form of balance? I don't think we think that there was a form of sexual exploitation of commercial sex workers, or was it because the violence is coming from the law enforcers or from tribesmen who fight this program? I will actually try to react to this.
Thank you.
Yeah, when you talk about the borders, being like applying their faith in the rural community, what's the meaning of law enforcement? That's like side identity or actually located near schools. That's both the workers, illicit workers, and their patients should be arrested. Now, what do we do for beyond in Africa? Is law enforcement concentrating on martial sex workers and maybe virtual hospital? So that's then in the product of that is that in terms of how the sex workers come from both countries, the transborder sex come from the other, which sort of so how does law enforcement navigate that task? How does it navigate it in given the conflict of laws in the two countries, or the two countries do not permit commercial sex work, quote and unquote? Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. My name is Oluwasanmi, and my intervention is more of a comment than even a question for Olayinka Balogun. I think it's Olayinka Balogun. Where is the use Abila's work on migration? I just want to say that the book is, the novel is very, very good, and you have a lot of lessons you can draw from that book, which I'm not sure, because since we don't have the full paper, we'll not know if she actually was able to bring out all of those things from it. Because, when we talk about migration, of course, in the novel, the children were not really actually brought to the fore of the novel, but it shows us that the children at the forefront of the narrative of migration. Whether we like it or not, the parents the adults know what they want to do, but the children will have to be tagged along and they have to be picked. So in that novel, some of the things I can find from the novel is that children are a symbol of displacement, and also portray lost childhood and trauma. It's easy for adults to voice their trauma, but it's difficult for children. So it also talks about children and generational memory, and also talked about children as narrative, serving as a narrative function of migration, and also, very importantly, children representing hope and renewal when it comes to the issue of migration. So Abila uses the figure of the child to explore themes of loss, identity, and resilience. So that book is a very important book, in line with what the presenter is working on. It shows us that migration is not a faceless phenomenon, but it's a deeply personal and intergenerational experience for the adult, for the child. All of them have their experiences, and all their experiences are very important and crucial and valid. But who listens to the voice of the child? How would the child be able to express what the trauma that the child is feeling or has gone through when it comes to migration? That is what she's working on, and I just feel I should just bring up these things. Thank you.
Thank you. Online, and the finding is what according to their page and the paper so that we know it.
Okay, the first question for the first question is for Olayinka Balogun. Potentially very important study on Abila's work. My suggestion or question is this: what specific impact or implication do the children's identities as children and non-Europeans have on their experiences of migration? Please relate this to dominant migration discourses in the global north at the moment. Please provide your personal assessments, whether it aligns with the theories, concepts you are using, or whether it does not align. Thanks. And the second one, from Sharon to the presenters. I encourage the presenters to consider the concept detrimental agency in their works. How does this play out in studies connected with women, children, etc., who are basically vulnerable in the context of these studies, and add to chart path to survive precarious situations? For Anima Shaun, are the identities imposed by certain groups, governments, border communities, etc.? What are the implications of these identities to your study population. And for Olayinka Balogun, detrimental agency becomes prominent, especially where children are not expected to have agency to this extent. Are there interventions and advocacy programs that bring these issues to public space for attention? That's all we have for now.
All right, so we are going to take questions according to the link instead. So the first person will be, this question for Solid. I don't think there's any question. Okay, so let's take
Any other question in the room before they start answering? Okay.
Okay, so please let's have Dr. Anima Shang respond.
Thank you. So I will start with the question from Esther. Well, I was able to get access to sex workers at these border communities because I used, I did some form of, snowballing. There is, particularly in Seme, there's an NGO that works on intervention with sex workers and other categories within the border. So I went through them just to familiarize myself with sex workers, and I gained their trust over time. So on Dr. Mayowa's question, a lot of questions. Thank you for the questions, sir. I'm grateful. So how am I using illicit sexuality and commercial sex work together? Seem like they are opposites of each other. I agree with you. But for my bigger projects, my work itself, I intentionally use commercial sex. I could have used prostitution or the like, but I was focused on interrogating or having this research with women who have self-identified as sex workers, women who own their agency and have stated that they are sex workers. They are not forced categories. Do you understand? That was why I used commercial sex workers in my larger project. For this one, I used illicit because I was thinking about it from the angle of law. Remember, I said that they alternate two identities input. This also ties to the question on imposition of identities. Now, there is an identity of illicitness to sex work by states. Do you understand? So that identity is imposed on them through the status and also sociocultural normative idea of gender expectation around sex and the sale of sex. So there's that illicit. So that's why I chose to use illicit for them here. And also because I'm interrogating them from the angle of the border community, where sex work is one of the many illicit activities that occur. Do you understand what I'm saying? So that is why I used illicit, here. So it depends on, I'm using illicit to talk about the border, to talk about the impact of the border on them, but sex work in my larger work, because I wanted to be to make it clear that I'm interrogating women who have agency and are able to express their agency. I hope that's clear. Is this some form of, my focus is not to advocate for commercial sex workers. And if I would advocate, it would be to the extent of saying they are at the risk of harm to their human security. It's a criminalized category, and it's a sensitive category. I do not go to start saying the government should, and I don't think I want to focus on that. I just want to argue that these are the certain human security issues that these people are encountering. And I was also very vehement or assertive about stating that their experience is not limited to experience of victimhood. They have other experiences, they have other things that our identities that they try to exhibit aside from victim. Because if you focus on advocacy, you're already saying there is something absolutely wrong. Yes, there's something wrong. But I'm also saying in this community, they're able to engage with the ecosystem. So advocacy in that sense may categorize them solely within the category of victimhood and helpless women, and that is not what my my research has proved thus far. I hope I got your question right. So what forms of violence are you referring to? Almost every types of violence in the larger work. For this one particularly, for this paper, my focus is violence that is psychological. You find that there's a lot of contention between sex workers and border community members, sex workers, Nigerian sex workers, and Venezuelan sex workers. So you find the argument, the contest over resources. If you understand what I mean by resources, thinking about it more broadly. So psychological, there's also the problem of states, even though it is not as common in these border communities who have issues with states as you would have in Lagos, for example, because of the fluidity of law and the implementation of law in the border community in relation to sex workers and other illicit activities, they lead to not so defined. So you find that in border community, even the police, the security people are aware of what they do, and there is an unwritten understanding that occurs between them. So of course, so law enforcement play a role. There's a lot of raiding from time to time, but the purpose for their raiding usually is not to stop them from practicing. It's majorly to get some funds and to go back to remind them that we are still here, we can watch you, we can still come. So it is not, they're not doing it so that they can go and arrest the sex workers and jail them and all that. When it is done, it is just to remind them that we are here, we are still watching you. So, you know how to control yourself. I would also interrogate the detrimental agency. Thank you, Professor Sharon. I think as I was reading the question, I thought of it that yes, so detrimental agency, they have agency, but it is now looking like it's detrimental to their safety. So I'll interrogate it further and I will impute it to make the work better. Thank you very much, ma'am. So I think I've answered the question of are the identities imposed by the government? Yes, the identity of illicitness of criminalization is imposed, but these sex workers that I've had conversations with are assertive about saying that aside from that imposed identity, there are other identities that we want to bring to the fore. For example, we find that commercial sex workers in Seme are and in Diroko too, are very much involved in they are subtly involved in the securitization of the border. They are involved in the ecosystem. They are involved in the politics of the border. Those ones that have become very wealthy and have become very prominent. So they are trying to say that let's not overemphasize on the imposed identity, but other forms of identity that we want to push forth and bring out.
Right.
I hope I've answered the questions.
All right, thank you. Please, want to hear from Dr. Balogun to respond to the questions.
Okay. All right, sir. Everyone appreciate Professor Sharon Omotosho, Professor Akpome, the physical education. I'm really grateful. This will help me a lot. In the body of work, I actually explain how their has known their as children, even on their journey, the oppression where that they is they're non-European. They couldn't access, they were given a they were not okay, the kind they got. In the text, in my paper, there is like the orphans, the very first.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay, thank you. The very first who have no parents, they are better taken care of. They are in a home where they enjoy themselves. The minder looks after them. They have liberty to play. These ones who have to go through life in pains and all. And another baby stroller who was just playing and content with life. All of these ones are European in tech. So I tried to do that comparative analysis between these non-European and European children, how they experience the same. Then on my personal statement, thanks for highlighting that. I did not even notice it's not there. So I'm really grateful. I will still work on this paper to show all of that. And then to the question on agency, detrimental agency or not. Again, that takes me back to the question of the liminality of children. Exactly is a child. That has been a debate in childhood studies. Is there a generic child? Is there a child that is there values that are just expected of children? There is the argument that the global north has imposed the definition of children on the global south, where their values concerning children are upheld as the de facto, while those from the non-European nations are seen as wrong. For example, the issue of
please make it snappy because we have 2 minutes more.
Okay, I'll round up. The issue of work, wrong for children to work or not. The issue of agency of detriment, I will do that. Thank you. Let me just.
All right, thank you, ma.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Please, Fatima, if you are still there, please respond quickly to your question. Fatima, are you still there?
The question is, the person is asking the impact of women migration and were abducted by Hindu time of recovery. This so many women have to reunite with family, involved with their abductors, husband for them. So they have been involved in matrimonial with them because with their love. So all Hindus were not too bad. We cannot generalize things. So we can say all those Hindus were few in number, but so many Hindus, Muslim and Sikh were there who were also saving or all Hindus were Muslims, only with devil ills or gang.
All right, so Fatima, I think the network is breaking from your end. We'll take this further later.